on how to think about rigor across review types. Before moving forward, I'd like to recognize that my own thinking, as well as my research on this topic, has greatly been shaped by and influenced by two of my great co-authors, Dr. Kieran Heavey from University College Dublin and Dr. Brian Fox from Bentley University. And in fact, today's presentation is based on work that we are doing together. So coming back to the rationale for rigor, I can think of two broad categories. One is rigor can help to actually clarify and enhance contributions in a review article. At least in the context of management and organizational research, really most review articles, they have a similar function to a larger degree to this idea of how to summarize knowns, unknowns, important to know, and what should be known next. For each of these tasks, being rigorous could help a great deal in clarifying a review article's intended contributions. The other reason is that the increasing volume, variety, and velocity of scholarly outputs create the need and opportunities for accumulating knowledge claims, both theoretical knowledge claims as well as empirical knowledge claims. So in that sense, rigorous review articles can be a sound solution to a scholarly problem. As a result of academic disciplines being more specialized, the attention obviously becomes like a rare commodity, and rigorous review articles can be a solution to that problem of increasing scholarly outputs across disciplines. And finally, I think review articles, when rigorously conducted, they could serve as the unit of knowledge translation and practice use. That is because, as opposed to an original study, a review article, by pulling theoretical and empirical knowledge claims across studies, they could present a more complete picture with greater confidence. Now, I don't mean to say individual studies cannot formulate practical implications. I'm not trying to discourage authors to make some claims based on individual findings. Obviously, there's a common practice. But what I'm saying is that review articles are uniquely positioned to make some claims with greater confidence and possibly with less boundary conditions. Oftentimes, individual studies, when they make knowledge claims or practical claims, they have to come up with a set of limitations and boundary conditions. And review articles, by pulling knowledge across studies and insights across studies, they could make such claims with greater confidence. And in fact, from my perspective, one of the greatest strengths of systematic reviews is precisely it is their function in accumulating empirical insights across studies, especially when studies are homogeneous, and they could be the basis for possibly an even easier integration. So when rigorously conducted, the review article can serve as the unit of knowledge translation and practices. Now, looking at the challenges of achieving rigor across review types, what we're observing is that oftentimes the attention on the methods to conduct review has oftentimes focused on individual review types. That could be systematic reviews, integrative literature review, narrative synthesis, or scoping reviews. Oftentimes we see a methodological attention, from my perspective, even too much placed on how to conduct a particular review type or a specific review phases and activities more rigorously, which has resulted really a diverse body of knowledge. If you look at the literature on conducting literature review, that literature is very diverse actually, and not diverse in terms of only the review types, but what we are seeing that in terms of labels, in terms of research purposes, the context in which reviews are being conducted. And we're also seeing, as a result of that excessive focus on individual review types, we see even the innovations around specific review types. mixed reviews and review of reviews to be very disparate, very disjointed. And the other aspect of really the challenge is that review practice itself is increasingly diverse and diversified. Now, as I indicated earlier, one reason is that most of the attention on review articles, at least from what I could gather by looking at the body of researchers, has been on the craft and art of doing reviews than the science of reviews. And one indication of that is that not many of us are trained or are trained in methods for performing reviews, and frankly, I'm one of those. I learned the conduct of reviews by necessity. The other thing to observe is that not many of us keep up with best practices, improvements, and innovations in review types. And I would say that there are a lot of innovations around the conduct of reviews that not many of us are following. And I would even say even less of us keep up with the range of review types. There's a whole host of review types out there that we often are not aware of them. And what I observe as a reviewer, and partly as an editor, oftentimes review authors, they will invoke a very generic language to describe what they are doing. Language like we are doing an integrative review, this is a comprehensive review, systematic review, or impactful review, rather than really use the exact type of review that they are conducting. So as we have addressing these two broad challenges, the argument that I like to put forward, and that is the basis for today's presentation, is that it is true that rigor could differ from one review type to another one, but it is also the case that for most review types, I would submit that achieving a high degree of internal alignment among the core review element is the essential foundation. By the core review elements, I mean those elements that have implication for review articles' methodological quality or soundness. And from my perspective, there are four of these elements. Purpose of the review, and as it manifests itself into a set of questions, the review type, methodological process, and systematicity of execution. In other words, what I'm saying is as following. For review articles, internal alignment will go up to the extent a review article has a compelling purpose for the review, links that purpose to the choice of review type, then specifies a methodological process for that select review type, and finally executes the select methodological process or the select blueprint with systematicity. Now, this internal alignment perspective, again, I'm proposing not a way of understanding a particular review type, but as a way of understanding or a way of thinking about rigor across different types of reviews. So my argument here is a little bit different than what you oftentimes would read in the context of looking at rigor in terms of specific activities or specific methodological processes. But I will submit that the internal alignment perspective should be an important part of our conversation for at least three different reasons. One, it lets us to think of executing or doing different review types more effectively. Indeed, the internal alignment perspective doesn't privilege one review type over the other ones, or it doesn't say one review type is more rigorous than the other ones. All it says is that different reviews, they have different strengths and weaknesses for different research purposes, and that the appropriate combination of review elements needs to be in place for whatever review authors are picking as their review type to conduct. And the second reason, I would submit that an internal alignment perspective could be especially helpful to evaluate methodological quality of review articles consistently. It might provide a lens for exploring whether review articles have been designed, executed, and reported to enable knowledge accumulation. Finally, I would submit that to the extent review authors strive to achieve internal alignment as we define it here, that could give an opportunity, it could give rise to opportunities for assessing contributions that review articles themselves make to a body of research or a discipline. It might provide a foundation lens for counteracting the emergent diversity of knowledge and innovation on review types. Now, in the context of conducting a specific review, I would submit that it can also mitigate potential research waste or even review inefficiencies. And what you have is in this figure, what I have done is really basically show the scenarios, possible scenarios when review articles do not accomplish alignment either in terms of design or in execution. And the design, the alignment of design, I conceptualize in terms of review purpose and type, and the execution in terms of methodological process and systematicity. Obviously, we all would like to conduct the right reviews rigorously, but when this misalignment exists either in terms of the design or in terms of the execution, what we have is either pure research waste in the case of a wrong review done poorly, or really review inefficiency in case of the wrong review done rigorously or the right review done poorly. And to think of the alignment in terms of only these two dimensions could be quite limited, but I think this helps to demonstrate some consequence of misalignment in review articles. Now, having introduced the perspective at a broad level, what I'd like to do for the rest of the presentation, I would like to clarify each components of this internal alignment perspective. And I will start with clarifying the compelling purpose for the review, then move to how that purpose should fit into the selection of review type, then how review type should inform the methodological process, and finally conclude with the methodological process, how the methodological process could be conducted with systematicity.